Who was the first president of the United States?
George Washington.
What year did the Declaration of Independence get signed?
1776.
Which famous battle was fought during the American Revolution?
Battle of Yorktown.
Who discovered America in 1492?
Christopher Columbus.
What was the name of the ship that brought the Pilgrims to America?
The Mayflower.
Who was the leader of the civil rights movement in the 1960s?
Martin Luther King Jr.
What event did the Boston Tea Party protest?
Tea tax imposed by Britain.
Who was the first female Prime Minister of Great Britain?
Margaret Thatcher.
What ancient civilization built the pyramids in Egypt?
Egyptians.
Who was known as the Iron Lady?
Margaret Thatcher.
Who wrote the famous diary during World War II?
Anne Frank.
What was the name of the ship that sank in 1912?
Titanic.
What empire was known for its road system and architecture?
The Roman Empire.
Which U.S. president issued the Emancipation Proclamation?
Abraham Lincoln.
What did the Magna Carta do?
Limited the power of the king.
When did World War II begin?
1939.
What was the famous wall in Berlin called?
The Berlin Wall.
Who was the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean?
Amelia Earhart.
What ancient city was buried by a volcanic eruption?
Pompeii.
Who was the famous philosopher from ancient Greece?
Socrates.
What conflict was fought between the North and the South in the United States?
The Civil War.
Who famously said, "Let them eat cake"?
Marie Antoinette.
What significant event happened on July 20th, 1969?
The Apollo 11 moon landing.
Who was the last Roman emperor?
Romulus Augustulus.
What movement aimed to end slavery in the United States?
Abolitionist movement.
Which U.S. president is known for the New Deal?
Franklin D. Roosevelt.
What historical event took place on December 7, 1941?
Pearl Harbor attack.
Who led the Haitian Revolution?
Toussaint, l'ouverture.
What did the Wright brothers invent?
The airplane.
What year did the Berlin Wall fall?
1989.
Who discovered the theory of gravity?
Isaac Newton.
What was the name of the treaty that ended World War I?
Treaty of Versailles.
What was the name of the first man-made satellite sent into space?
Sputnik.
Who assassinated President Abraham Lincoln?
John Wilkes Booth.
What global conflict was sparked by the attack on Pearl Harbor?
World War II.
What year did the French Revolution begin?
1789.
Who was the famous Queen of Egypt?
Cleopatra.
What was the name of the network of routes used to help escaped slaves?
The Underground Railroad.
Who was the influential leader of the Indian independence movement?
Mahatma Gandhi.
What city was the center of the ancient Maya civilization?
Tikal.
Who was the first person to circumnavigate the globe?
Ferdinand Magellan.
What did the discovery of the New World lead to?
The Age of Exploration and Colonization.
Who was the first European to reach India by sea?
Vasco da Gama.
What is the name of the famous speech delivered by Martin Luther King Jr.?
I have a dream.
Who was the first female aviator to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean?
Amelia Earhart.
What ancient civilization is known for developing the first writing system?
Sumerians.
What is the significance of the year 1066 in England's history?
The Norman Conquest.
Who was the famous leader of the Soviet Union during World War II? What ancient structure is known as one of the seven wonders of the ancient world?
The Great Pyramid of Giza.
What event marked the beginning of the Great Depression?
The stock market crash of 1929.
Who wrote the famous play Romeo and Juliet?
William Shakespeare.
What was the name of the first successful English settlement in America?
Jamestown.
What conflict was fought between the British and the American colonists?
The American Revolution.
Who was the famous doctor known for developing the polio vaccine?
Jonas Salk.
Who was the first African American Supreme Court justice?
Thurgood Marshall.
What was the name of the period of political tension between the United States and the Soviet Union?
The Cold War.
Who led the Soviet Union during the Cuban Missile Crisis?
Nikita Khrushchev.
What was the primary cause of the American Civil War?
Slavery and states' rights.
Who is known for his nonviolent protests against civil rights violations?
Martin Luther King Jr.
What famous battle was fought in 1066?
The Battle of Hastings.
Who was the famous American frontiersman known as Davy Crockett?
A folk hero and politician.
What was the name of the document that declared the independence of the United States?
The Declaration of Independence.
Who was the famous British leader during World War II?
Winston Churchill.
What year did World War I begin?
1914.
Who was the first emperor of Rome?
Augustus.
Which country was responsible for the start of World War I?
Austria-Hungary.
Who led the Continental Army during the American Revolutionary War?
George Washington.
What was the primary goal of the suffragette movement?
Women's right to vote.
Who is the current president of the United States?
Donald Trump.